My first year of rabbinical school was the first time I ever went to Israel. I was planning to go on a birthright trip in college, but about a month before the trip, the second Intifada broke out, and my parents said no. After the Intifada was over, and I was out of college, I reapplied to Birthright, and they emailed me this response. Dear alumni, please give us money. I will acknowledge I'm greatly oversimplifying the email, but I do so for the sake of a shorter sermon. You're welcome. As an aside, 2 years after I got their response, I'm sitting in my apartment in Jerusalem, working on a final, I think, for my liturgy class, and I hear a "You've got mail" announcement from back when I had AOL. And I check the email, and it's Birthright, out of nowhere, congratulating me on being accepted to this year's trip. I responded to them saying, "You'll never guess where I am right now." But ultimately, the first time I went to Israel was when I was heading there for rabbinical school. I remember flying to Israel that first time, wondering if I would feel like I was in my homeland. And what would that feel like to be in my homeland for the first time? But also, seeing everything for the first time, not even knowing how I was going to get from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Would I feel at home, or would I feel like a stranger? Thinking back now, I realize how deeply Jewish those questions were. We've been asking questions like that forever. To which people do we belong? How do others see us? Are we insiders or are we outsiders? Do we dwell in the center of things or forever at the margins? These are questions our people have been asking for millennia, and they are questions I believe we're all facing right now and feeling in our kishkas as we look out at society and wonder, where do we belong in this world? In Parshat Chayei Sarah, when Abraham was negotiating the purchasing of the burial plot for Sarah, the cave of Machpelah, he says to the Hittites, "Ger v'toshav anochi amachem." I am a stranger and a resident among you. I am both a stranger in this land, but I am also a resident. How profound. I don't belong, but I do at the same time. A paradox. And this paradox has defined us ever since. We are both at home and not at home, belonging and yet apart. Now, when I say we are a ger v'toshav, some of you might be a little confused, because according to rabbinic law, a ger toshav is not a Jew at all, but a non-Jewish resident alien, someone who accepts the 7 Noahide laws, the universal minimum of morality. Such a person was permitted to live among the Israelites, protected and supported, without converting. So originally, ger v'toshav meant someone living in between, inside the community yet not fully of it, neither stranger nor citizen, somewhere between. But halakhically, it meant someone who was not Jewish but still a part of our community. As my rabbi growing up, Rick Jacobs, for example, who used to call my father before he converted, was a common law Jew. Right? Not quite, but mostly. Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik, one of the great Jewish thinkers of the 20th century, took that halakhic term ger v'toshav, but turned it inward. He said, "We, the Jewish people, are the ger v'toshav in history. In covenant before God, we are insiders, toshavim, rooted in Torah and mitzvot, with a unique destiny. In civilization before the world, we are strangers, gerim, always a bit apart, carrying a moral vision that doesn't fully align with the societies around us. Soloveitchik called this the universalism of particularity. Our strangeness is not a curse but a calling. If we were only strangers, we would have nothing to offer. If only residents, we would vanish into assimilation. It is by being both that we fulfill our mission. This is why Abraham's self-description is so powerful. He is not merely negotiating land, he is naming the Jewish condition, forever both insider and outsider, particular and universal. Yesterday morning, our Torah reading told the story of the binding of Isaac. Abraham leads his son up to the mountain, a knife is raised, and then a ram caught in the thicket becomes the substitute. The Talmud asks, why do we blow a ram's horn on Rosh Hashanah? And it answers, so that God may remember the binding of Isaac and see it as if we were him. The ram becomes the symbol of covenantal community. But the Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai adds to the story as he claims that the real hero of the binding of Isaac was the ram, and that after he was slaughtered, his horns were made used to make the first shofarot. Their blast reminded God of and us of the covenant, but also of injustice in the world, for the ram was unaware of what was going on. He was innocent, but was volunteered to die without a voice. For Amichai, the ram is the ultimate ger v'toshav, caught, voiceless, substituted, yet transformed into a cry that echoes through generations. Neither the chosen patriarch nor the promised son, but the one whose suffering becomes memory and warning. To live as ger v'toshav is to live like that ram, aware of the cost, aware of our in-betweenness, yet willing to let cry resound as a call to justice. At the March on Washington, Rabbi Prince declared, neighbor is not a geographic term. It is a moral concept. It means our collective responsibility for the preservation of a person's dignity and integrity. Prince, who had fled Nazi Germany, knew that Jews could not abandon either part of their identity. Our apartness obligates us to act for universal dignity. To forget our strangeness is to forget our calling. So what does it mean for us today to live as a ger v'toshav in America? The first is to remember the stranger. The Torah reminds us time and again, you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Because we know what it means to be vulnerable, we are called to empathy. For refugees, for immigrants, those on the margins, those who are othered, and those at risk. The second is to build as residents. Abraham insisted on paying full price for the cave of Machpelah. He would not accept the burial plot as a gift. To be toshav is to invest, to build institutions of justice, to strengthen democracy. We are not guests, we are builders. To be a Jew in America today is not only to respond to brokenness, but to build something beautiful. It means cultivating Jewish rhythms in a society that doesn't always want to recognize them. Lighting Shabbat candles in a world that doesn't pause. Building a sukkah in the shadow of a skyscraper, or here on the roof in New Brunswick. Choosing to gather for a Yom Kippur fast when the world just keeps moving by. It also means study, not just for our children, but for all of us. Opening our sacred texts, arguing with them, wrestling with what they ask of us, allowing their wisdom to guide our decisions, even and especially when they challenge us. It means prayer, not just reciting words, but engaging in practices that open our hearts, that give us language for gratitude and grief, for joy and doubt. It means building community, choosing to be in relationship with other Jews, even when it's complicated, or especially when it's complicated. To live as a Jew in America today is to plant ourselves in soil that is often unfamiliar and still choose to blossom from our roots. The third is to witness the shofar's cry. Like the ram, our role is to give voice, to sound the alarm against injustices and atrocities, to speak for human dignity everywhere, to refuse silence. Some voices want us to dissolve into generic identity politics, just another minority among minorities. Others want us to retreat, to give up, or to go to some other place, or to stop existing. Both are temptations, both are wrong. So Soloveitchik insists our mission is to hold both, to be particular and universal, to live our covenant and to serve humanity, to be a stranger and be a resident. It's not easy. It's not comfortable, but it is who we are. We are children of Abraham and Sarah, heirs to Sinai and residents of New Jersey, most of us. We are part of Israel, part of America, and part of a world that aches for healing. And the task of Rosh Hashanah is to hear the ram's horn and ask, what will we do with this identity? How will we live as Gerim v'Toshavim? Will we care for the vulnerable, remembering we too were and are strangers and vulnerable ourselves? Will we build resilient communities, investing in justice and peace? Will we let our voices cry out not only for our people, but for all humanity? When Abraham called himself Ger v'Toshav Anochi Imachem, he was not just bargaining for a grave. He was naming the Jewish condition for all time. To be Jewish is to live in duality, to be at home and not at home, to be particular and universal, to be a resident alien. And it is in that strangeness that our sacred gift lies, the gift of conscience, the gift of memory, the gift of witness. So on this Rosh Hashanah, may we embrace that paradox. May we teach our children to live with both feet in different worlds. May we act with empathy, with commitment, and with courage. And may the cry of the ram awaken us not only to who we are, but to who we are called to be. Amen. Shana Tova.